Hi, good morning. So we're still working our way through the book, Doing Imago Relationship Therapy in the Space Between by Dr. Harville Hendricks and his wife, Dr. Dr. Helen LaKelly Hunt. And I'm continuing chapter 3 or 6 here on the 3 stages of a relationship. And in an intimate relationship, we call those stages the romantic love stage, the power struggle, and then adaptation or resolution. And I'm going to look at the first two, or in this, they look at the first two in this chapter, and then in chapter 7, they're going to look at actually moving towards a more conscious relationship. Now, here's something I didn't know, all right? So they say, all relationships like life go through stages. Intimate relationships and other significant relationships go through 3. That part I didn't know. Here's the part I didn't. I thought this was interesting. These stages have to do with the brain's interest in the neurochemistry of novelty. Its disinterest in the loss of those chemicals when the novel becomes familiar, and its attempt to recover those neurochemicals by recreating the pre-existing state of pleasure. Our biology is far more involved in our choices than we understand. Interesting. I didn't make sense, and I didn't think of that. So the romantic love stage, and they say two people can be sure they're an imago match if they fell in love, right? One reason the romantic stage tends to be short-lived is simply because of how our brain works. It habituates to or gets used to the ebb and flow of the brain chemicals thought to be responsible for the blissful emotions that accompany the romantic phase. Makes sense? The sensations that constitute romantic love are so desirable and intense because they are a transient re-experience of original connecting, the sensation of which is full of aliveness, joy, and wonder. Again, we're coming from a quantum perspective where we came into this world connected. So they go on and explore in some depth the biochemistry behind romantic love and what happens to the brain in the romantic stage of a relationship. But keep in mind that from an imago perspective, the purpose of romantic love is to cement, now think about this and think of what you see typically, to cement a bond between two incompatible people that will last long enough for both of them to complete their unfinished childhood development, to fulfill their biological and evolutionary purpose through the propagation of the human race, and re-experience their cosmic identity by restoring the original sensations of full aliveness and wonder and the emotion of joy. Not the conclusions you would find in the popular magazines exploring romantic love. So it's basically get two incompatible people together long enough to hook them so they'll do the work. So then they move on to the power struggle and the purpose and function of the power struggle. And they say getting past the romantic stage represents a critical leap forward in the development of a relationship. As we have seen, romantic love, with all its headiness and profundity and ecstasies, is purposeful. It is meant to burgeon to the point of full bloom. It's also meant to end, and it always does. But why? And they give 3 reasons. All right? So again, they're saying, okay, romantic love is a stage, supposed to happen, supposed to end. But they're going to go on to say the power struggle is a stage, supposed to happen, supposed to end. So the first reason is objection to difference. And they've talked about this before, but I think they're right on. They say objection to difference is the source of all human conflict. Objection to difference. Now think about the world right now. Hamas, Israel, Ukraine, Russia, black, white, male, female. The objection to difference. This posits that the core problems of couples and humanity are the same: negativity, exclusion, and inequality. And the solutions are the same: affirmation of the other, celebration of difference, universal inclusion, and equality. What a different world it would be. In the romantic love phase of the relationship, couples tend to focus on their sameness, and then slowly or quickly, differences arise because none of us is perfect, and the illusion of sameness is ruptured. Our anxiety triggers our defense, and that negative energy becomes a source of personal, group, and global objection to difference. Something to think about, that objection to difference is the source of all human conflict. Anyway, number 2, they talk about brain habituation. Again, going back to how the brain, the neurochemistry of the brain. The brain habituates to the enhanced biochemistry of romance. But however long it takes for our brain chemistry to settle down, sooner or later it does, often to the astonishment of the partners who begin to wonder if they have fallen out of love, or even worse, fallen in love with the wrong person. They have done neither. They've simply stumbled unaware across the finish line of the romantic phase of the relationship, and their brains will soon habituate on negativity. And then the last one, they talk about relationship habituation. And they say as a relationship moves forward, subtle shifts begin to occur. For example, partners begin to get careless about how they say what they say, and or they suspect that their partner could meet all their needs, but for some unfathomable reason is unwilling to do so. So what has happened? All that's happened is that our relationship is becoming real. The scales have fallen off and the blinders have been removed. With our improved vision, we can clearly see our predicament. We are with a real person, and they are different from what we presupposed, and they live in a different cognitive emotional world. Our symbiotic conscious is being ruptured by a differentiation process, and that scares us. Obviously, to the couple who's going through all this, it's the end of the world as they know it or as they want it to be. For Imago, this is the on-ramp from the romantic stage to the power struggle, from connecting to conflict. Now here again, listen to how they describe conflict. Imago defines conflict as growth trying to happen. It may feel awful, and it is experienced as a foundational threat, but the tension of the opposites is a necessary and purposeful step in the right direction. Conflict is supposed to happen, and it happens to everyone, at least everyone who fell in love with an Imago match. So they go on, the power struggle, the stage of disillusionment, is nature's savage gift. The opportunity hidden within every crisis, our rare chance to achieve transformation, if only we are willing to accept it. And I think it's true. Conflict is supposed to happen, but from an Imago's perspective, it's supposed to end as well. Now, but partners, they have to be conscious. They have to be aware. If partners can reframe the power struggle and see it as a chance to grow and meet the unmet needs of childhood, it not only ends the power struggle, but also moves the relationship into a more conscious partnership. But again, you have to be aware. You have to be conscious. So next week, we're going to look at how the power struggle works. And then the following week, get into chapter 7, which examines what a conscious partnership looks like. But, like I say, I'm a coach. I didn't invent this stuff, but I can coach it. But I think they're right on. Some of our needs didn't get met growing up. Because it's familiar, we replay the same scenario, and of course it doesn't work again. But if we can turn it around and reframe it, and we can stretch to meet each other's needs, we're really healing ourselves. We've married our healer. But we have to be aware. We have to be conscious. Anyway, have a great week. See you next week.